He's ready whenever. All right.
That's what I'm supposed to have some mountains, some trees and.
Good morning.
All right.
I want to welcome you to our August 7th board meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Craig, would you pray for us?
I will, yes. Let's pray. Lord God, we come to you at this point in our meeting, right at the beginning, and we say we need you here with us today. Thank you for being here with us today and providing your wisdom and your discernment to these men that need it. Father, I pray that as we move forward today, as we think about the business of our county, we'll think about all of the people that are impacted by the decisions that are made by these gentlemen. I thank you, Lord, that they are willing to sacrifice their time, their energy, their skills. Lord, they're willing to put that all before you and before the people of this community. And Father, you use them to help lead and guide this community well. Thank you, Lord, for those that serve and protect, that provide every single day that sacrificial act of service. And along with their families, Lord, I pray for their protection and I pray for their safe return home in Christ's name.
Amen. All right. We've got a couple of people that have signed up for public comments. I'm going to start with Karen, and I know I'm going to butcher your name. Giordano. All right, at 315 Woodlands, it's your time to come forward. Look, we've got a really thick agenda, so I'm not just speaking to you. Let's try to move it along 3 minutes, and let's try not to be repetition. And I'm talking about us too, because we've got, in respect to the people behind you that are waiting.
Absolutely.
Thank you, ma'am.
I appreciate your time this morning. I thank you for hearing me out. Again, my name is Karen Giordano. I live at 315 Woodlands Green Place out in Castlewoods. And I found out about the discovery of the removal of all the trees and all the millwork unexpectedly. The discovery that I was never informed, trucks had been parked on my side yard, in my yard. And I went over there and asked what was going on. It was basically met with, well, we're not on your property. Well, yeah, you are. Your truck's here, your golf cart's here, you're on my land. And I was told that they didn't need my permission to be there, that they sought the permission of the homeowner to the left of me if you're facing Mill Creek, and that's who gave them permission. I asked what the plan was for this work because I'm a homeowner and I'm the White House that's pretty much been scalped. I'm sure if y'all know anything about the project or have been checking in on it, you'll know that that's my house. I'm the white one there that has not a tree left around it. And I was told that, well, it's not my property, it's not my concern. They really don't have the details of the plan, but all that they could tell me is they're going to remove every tree along both sides of the creek. So I started doing a little digging, and I decided to go to Rankin County records to look at my property lines, and noticed that my previous property lines are not the same as they currently are in Rankin County. And that was quite disturbing to me. So I've gone ahead, I've always felt that we were, as homeowners, responsible for beyond the creek, and I've maintained that area. I've spoken to the golf course numerous times and told them we were going over there, we would remove the brush. I've paid to have contractors over there to remove the brush from around the trees because I didn't like the vines and the weeds, and we thought the trees were beautiful. Main reason I bought that property, my whole back of my house is glass. So my whole exposure is to that golf course, which I'm not a golfer, don't care to golf, but love the view of being in a treehouse type environment. But I digress. So I've contacted my real estate attorney, and I'm having another survey done, which is on slot for next week. My issues, there's another guy there surveying this morning, looks like the same type of person that was there a couple weeks ago. And when I asked him, what are you surveying? His response to me was, he didn't know. He was just there doing his job. I laugh because you know why you're there. But it's been a very secretive project, and what contrasts is to the April 14th meeting y'all had, when it started off by saying you had the homeowner's approval that the homeowners had been contacted about this. No card was ever in my door. Nobody ever knocked on my door to tell me what was happening. Right in the middle of staining my deck, you can imagine the dust. There's been no water trucks at this site. There's been just the removal of big tree after big tree, which I don't understand how this is gonna help Mill Creek in the area that you're in right now. And there's rumors circulating that y'all are gonna widen this creek by 20 feet. Don't know if that's true, because again, I don't have the plan. And if that's the case, my fence is gonna go into that creek. And the way the property looks right now on the county records, it looks like I built my house on property that's not mine. It's the golf courses or Rankin Counties. So I've got a big concern here, and I'm going to get that addressed through my attorney. But also, what I'd like to take just a second and say is when y'all had approached me in 2020 about removing some trees on my property and putting some rock down, because that was gonna help in my backyard. My fence was gonna have to come down, my irrigation was gonna be torn up, my side yard was gonna be torn up, which again is not showing on the county as being my property. And I was fine with that because we had attorneys involved and y'all were gonna restore everything back, and it was for the good of the creek, which I'm all on board for. There was no mention back in 2020 of the massive undertaking that was going to be taking place at this time. Nothing was ever told to me about the plans. And from that meeting again on the 14th, it was expressed that this project has been a thorn in y'all's side for many years. So you were celebrating the fact that this had moved forward, and I can respect that. But as a homeowner, I don't respect it, because now my view is gone. I have nothing but dust out there. I get to witness, when I try to sit out there and have my coffee, men pissing on the golf course, pardon my French. This is my view now. I don't want my house anymore. If any of y'all are interested in buying it, call me later. But this is where I'm at right now, so I'm pretty upset. And the results basically are I've had to spend several $100s this weekend and put shades up blocking all of Mill Creek from my back deck. So I don't even have my view right now, because I don't want to see what's going on right out there right now. So this is where I'm at, and I thank you for your time. I'm just looking to know who y'all contacted, who came to my house and told me this was gonna happen, because maybe if I knew the plan, I'm all for helping my neighbors. I love my neighbors. I love the neighbors I don't know. I'm glad you opened, Mr. Slay, with a prayer to Jesus this morning, because that's where I'm at in my heart. I want to help my neighbors. But I'm not happy with how this went, and I want some answers, because I'm going to get my survey done, and I want to look at my lot lines again, and I want some answers as to why I wasn't notified, or my surrounding neighbors. I've talked to them. They weren't notified either. And you know, they're appeased right now because Facebook message. They got a Facebook message that they were gonna, Daniel Cross, I don't know who he is. I'm sorry, I'm not well versed in all the elected officials. I do see a lot of his signs. And I thought, you know, if we had as much energy as coming to the neighbors and letting them know what was happening as we do putting those little yard signs in everybody's yard, I wouldn't be standing here today. Okay. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you, and I'm sorry for this anxiety. Craig, you will handle the legal part, she said, and then I guess our engineer and all will look into these surveys. And okay, thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you for your time.
All right, next, is this Keeley? Keeley?
Yeah, I'm at 427
Woodridge,
Woodland Circle.
427 Woodland, okay.
And I was basically here for the same thing, wanting to know what the plan is. So, I mean, are we not gonna get that today?
Well, no, not during the board meeting. I would suggest if you want to see the plan, make an appointment with the engineer and probably the Corps. Don't the Corps have something to do with this, or NRCS? I think the guidelines and rules and all that come down from higher than where we get our funding from.
Okay, so, as far as the rock, is that, from my understanding, is gonna be maintained via the property owners, the county? Who's gonna maintain the rock in the creek when it's done?
Go ahead.
Let me address that. We got issues with.
Can't hear you.
So the way that this project is structured is it is federal funding.
via the American Rescue Plan Act. As you guys know, that all came about sometime in 2021 when the county received a direct distribution of federal funding under the American Rescue Plan Act. That was related to the virus situation. Every county in the United States got a distribution. Every municipality in the United States got a distribution. Every state in the United States got a distribution directly from the federal government. We've never had anything like that happen in our history previously, and we can't anticipate that that will ever happen again during our lifetimes. I guess we can all hope and pray we don't end up with a virus situation that leads to another direct infusion of federal financial support for specific types of things. Those funds had strings attached to them. The federal government, by virtue of having handed that money to us as a county, had conditions to those funds in terms of how we could use them. And y'all remember the lengthy back and forth that we went through to try to figure out what's the best use that the county can make of these one-time funds that we won't ever see again. And this board took advantage of an opportunity to look at our stormwater management plan that you adopted in 2018. And you said, we're going to implement portions of that plan with these funds. We were nowhere near the starting point of actually implementing that plan because we didn't have any way to fund it. And then the federal government shows up with a big check and says, well, here you go. And so we were able then to move forward with multiple projects, some 30 across the county. And this particular project is one of those roughly 30 projects that we are attacking our stormwater management program through. This particular project has a significant amount of large aggregate as a stabilizing force for erosion control primarily. As you know, Mill Creek eventually makes its way into the reservoir, and we are forever having to work with PRB about sedimentation in the reservoir and the continuing additional costs associated with trying to deal with sedimentation. And so we saw this and see this as an opportunity to get on top of some really significant erosion control that impacts the drinking water supply for the city of Jackson. And so this has been on the drawing board for years. Daniel, you may not be as widely known as you thought you were, but the truth of the matter is you've been out front, especially on this particular project, because of the direct impact on both what I'll call flood efforts and also erosion control. And both of those are in play here. We anticipate that there will be some significant benefit on large rain events where there's just a better pathway for the water to get from its current bottlenecks to the reservoir. And we're hopeful that when we get it there more quickly, it goes with less sediment in it. So that's the two-pronged approach here for this project. And so far it's done well. By design, we looked at the properties that are impacted by this project, and we did our best to stay on one of two things: either property that was listed or identified in our records as common area, meaning that it was property that was reserved by the developer as green space, or sometimes it's referred to on the plats as common area. You have to go to the plats and actually dig that out and figure that out. Or property that was controlled or is controlled by the golf course, we'll say, okay, by the entity that owns the golf course. And so we believe, and I'm looking back at Tim now, we believe we identified the areas where we were going to have some level of interaction with private property owners. And we had those interactions. Most of those for this project have just been verbal. But occasionally we will, where we know we're going to significantly impact a private property owner, we'll go to them directly. So if private property owners have not been approached, then the initial standpoint that I have is that we're not impacting their property. We're not impacting their property at all. And we are not above making errors like that or having something going on with our property records that's not accurate and finding out maybe after the fact that we are in fact impacting properties. And so if we are, we will address those situations and make sure that we get that squared up. Okay?
Her question was maintenance in the future.
Yes, sir. So what happens is, once this project is completed, the maintenance responsibility will be returned to whoever's property it is. The county won't have any continuing maintenance obligation for these improvements.
And there's one area that's different on that spot. The area that
If it's in a,
the area
if it's
at
in
three,
a road.
the area at 315 was NRCS
Oh,
project.
absolutely.
So that project
Yeah,
was done.
That's a
and-
separate
and
deal.
So her residence that spoke a few minutes ago is not involved in this project. That was a NRCS project, which, by the way, she came in and gave us permission to come in and do.
Right.
On signed documents.
Right.
That's maintained by the county, that little strip of area right
Yes,
there. So
the
that's a rock
NRCS
area
fund.
that NRCS federal
That's right.
money came in and put in on top
That's
of
right.
that. So
Okay.
that's a
All right.
different, and it kind
It
of
is.
excludes the actual project that's going on.
It is.
So
Okay.
y'all
Let's-
maintain the current
let's-
rock that's there, is what you're saying?
If it's an NRCS project, we have a responsibility through NRCS to continue to maintain that. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
If,
I understand.
yeah, and so that it's clear, how that is maintained is left to the discretion of the county, okay? How it's maintained, when it's maintained. The fact that it needs to be maintained, the county does have that responsibility. If somebody has an issue, they want to bring it to our attention, we can address maintenance responsibilities going forward. Yeah. But none of the current project along Mill Creek that is funded through American Rescue Plan Act funds, as part of this project, there won't be any continuing maintenance obligation as it relates to that particular project. That falls back on the property owner.
Correct.
Okay.
So with
We-
that being said, like, at what point does the property owner get like the notification of like what their requirements are gonna be to maintain it? Because there is a section.
Are you one of those
in-
property owners? No. Are you?
I'm not one of those, well, technically you and I are both one of those property owners, cause one of them
Why?
is the common area of Castlewoods. And in the past, when,
Are you still on the board?
I'm not on the board, but I'm still a taxpayer.
Okay, all right.
And in the past, when I was on the board,
Mhm.
and we came to y'all over the 8 retention ponds, and it took 3 years, back when we had a good
And, you know,
relationship,
the
to
crazy part is you still
understand.
can't understand that. The common areas of the retention ponds are private property, and the county can't go in to maintain retention ponds. I can't tell you if we drew it out on pictures or put it on color
I
cards.
do understand that, Daniel.
But
My
you can't
question
understand that.
is
You believe
now,
that the retention ponds in the subdivision are the responsibility of the county. And I can't make it any clearer. The lawyers can't make it any clearer. The engineers can't make it any clearer. Nobody can make you understand that the county can't go on private property to maintain retention ponds. But you can't get that in your head. So I understand we're not even gonna have the discussion anymore because you can't understand the logic of not being able to go on private property. I get it. I get it.
All right,
can
let's
I make,
move on.
can I make my statement real quick? Because this is the
You-
major important
All right.
part.
This
I
is
do
it.
understand that it is the responsibility of the homeowners association. I wouldn't have signed over $300,000 worth of contracts to fix them when I was on the board. My question now is, there is common area that is being affected. So what does that cost going to look like? Because we are going to now have to maintain this rock that is on the common area, correct?
Do you
And
understand
so-
do you understand what you're saying?
Let me
I
say
don't
this.
think you
Let's
Am
move
I
it.
It was-
confused? Am I not
I mean,
making
it was
sense?
being maintained before it was even rock put on there. Like she said, it was being, y'all were having to take the
Yeah.
vines and brush.
Okay, but like-
There's no different responsibility.
So
There's
do
no
you-
different
do you
responsibility.
spray the rock?
The
Do
HOA
you-
still
You
has
can spray it.
maintenance responsibility over the common areas.
How do
Okay.
you maintain your common areas now?
With
You
a
don't,
lawnmower,
do you?
bush
That's right.
hog, or
I
All I was
I
trying to
understand. You
do,
don't. I got you.
we maintained it at $30,000 a year contract,
Okay,
but
then
my
you
question
shouldn't have any
is
issues.
with it being now a new responsibility for us to maintain.
How is it
How-
a new responsibility, Keely?
Yeah.
It's the same property.
Because
You've been
befo-
did you
because we
manage
don't
the
want it to
did-
look
did
like
you-
it is behind Karen's house right now
did
where
you
it's
Did you
overboned.
maintain it already? Do you
Before
maintain
there
that
was
common
not
area now?
rocks. We cut the grass.
Okay, so you're maintaining it, right?
Okay,
You're
so
not, guess
how-
what? You're not gonna have to
All
cut
right,
the rock.
that's good,
You
that's
probably
good.
have to-
My
Okay.
question.
Did that make you feel
Probably
better?
have to
No
spray
cutting
it.
the rock. How about that?
You-
All right.
you probably
Save your
have to-
lawnmower blades, everything else. No cutting the
You
rock.
probably have to spray it.
Spray it with
Yeah.
Roundup or something.
Okay, so
like that.
spray it with Roundup and stuff. Is there certain people that we would have to contract that
You
this would be
can, or
permitted?
y'all can do
Or
that
you can do it
yourself.
So anybody can spray the rock in the ditch?
Yeah, I
with
mean,
any
it's
kind of
not-
chemical-
It's really not,
Let's-
really not hard. Anybody
We're,
can do
let's,
it.
we
Okay.
really need to move on. We
Well, no,
got-
I mean, that's
and
my
we can-
question that I
Well,
asked.
we can take
agree.
that outside of a, we got a
Yeah.
lot of people that have a lot of things to go over, and this is an individual thing that you
It's
can
not
get.
an individual
This is a
thing.
conversation that we can have after we get the project finished.
You can spray it though.
Let's-
You can spray
Okay.
it, it's not hard.
Yes,
Okay, that's the
Thank
main
you, Kim.
question and
thank you.
wanting to
Thank
know
you.
how you would
call,
maintain
because
it.
I
I'll tell you how to
understand
spray
that
it.
there, I understand, and we can have these conversations.
Let's get the project finished and we'll see what we're dealing with.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, I'm gonna move
Y'all have a great
to-
day.
Thank you, ma'am. We have Mark Peterson is signed in.
I turned in my time. I'm good.
Okay. All right, let's move, old business.
Can we let Brett Issue give us a updated public comment on the Monterey?
Yes. Brett, come forward.
That looked like a borderline decision, Steve.
Yep.
Trying to lean toward yes.
3 minutes, Brett.
Good morning, y'all. Just going to give you an update on Monterey. We do have a new board in place. Everything's going good. We had an election. We did elect a new fire chief and a assistant chief. So everything's back on board. Everything is great.
Everybody's working together.
Everybody's working together. So,
Great. Good deal.
You got enough
Okay.
manpower?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Appreciate what you
Good.
did,
Thank you.
stepping in there and getting everything back in line for
Like,
us.
I've
Thank
not
y'all.
heard
Recommend
much
to make it
feedback,
official
so it sounds like it
that
must
we
went
are
okay.
storing the
Yes.
fire service agreement with Monterey. Can we do that as additional business today? And you're good with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, I want to say thank you to Brett
I do too.
because you're
Yeah,
looking at
me too.
your interim fire chief right here,
Who's
and he
the fire
drove the
chief?
ship of state right back where it needed to be, so thank you, Brett.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, now, do I have a motion to approve the old business from August 3rd?
So move.
Jay makes a motion,
Second.
Mr. Calhoun seconds it. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, we have. Yeah. We have, our consent agenda. Have y'all had a chance to go over it? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
Jay makes a motion,
Second.
Jared seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Ms. Gilbert. Ms. Caroline Gilbert.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I've got one quick one. Authority to void supplemental chargeback for PDIN 167. Department of Revenue approved the homestead exemption reimbursement for the applicant and sent us a letter saying we could reverse this.
Most approved.
Second.
Have a motion by Jared to approve, second by Mr. Calhoun. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Gilbert. Tax Assessor John Sullivan.
Gentlemen, let me jump in and take that. I think our assessor may have something else going on today. This would be an acknowledgement of receipt of objections to the 2023 tax assessment that has been made by AT&T Mobility on personal property tax. So this would just be an acknowledgement of a receipt of that objection, timely objection.
All right. Do we have a motion?
Motion approved.
Mr. Calhoun makes a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Jay seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Mr. Harrison, 3 minutes, Mike.
Last night.
Good.
Road work accomplished and road work schedule.
Make motion approved.
Second.
All right, Jared makes a motion, Daniel seconds it. Any other discussion?
Yeah. Hey, can you give us an update? We'll go ahead.
Well, go ahead.
give us an update on what's going on with our contractor in Live Oaks?
They're having some equipment problems and saying they're having material problems, but I checked on the material's been ready for over a week. So, I'm hoping they back at it today, Brad. I hadn't heard from them this
If
morning.
not, we do have a second bidder on that.
We do
can go
have,
to.
we do have a second bidder if they're not able to fulfill their obligations.
So have they got started at all?
Mhm.
They started and pulled out and then just hadn't showed back up. And it's been sitting dead for.
What were they doing?
Doing ultra thin or micro?
Micro.
Micro.
Oh, is this our old contractor?
Mm-hmm. One that we had problems with last year.
Can I get,
Still was.
just get the contact
Still
for our
was.
contractor? Let me make contact and see if I can dig out what's going on.
Okay.
Said you
Not-
talked to
not
them,
that
why
I'm
did they pull
asking.
out?
I'm working on another job, I'm assuming somewhere's Jay.
You didn't ask them about it?
Yeah,
That's,
pretty well it.
That's what got making me mad.
no doubt,
I mean,
I understand.
I mean, it wasn't a micro job, their equipment is down, but
I got you.
they pulled off.
well,
to
they were
work on
blaming on the material that they were receiving and it wasn't the material.
But they had a piece of equipment went down?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the equipment's supposed to be back fixed, the material was ready to go last week, but I was told they'd be back Tuesday this week.
I just want to send them a note of encouragement,
Okay.
that's all.
All right.
I'll get you all that contact.
We had a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Thank you.
passes. Thank you,
y'all.
Mike.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Parker.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first item we have on the agenda, item A, is going to be, you should have bid tabs in front of you. There were 3 paper clipped together. The one that's actually 2 pages is Program Element 121 UT Holcomb Branch. That's Deer Valley subdivision. We opened bids on that, and immediately after we opened the bids, 2 of the contractors realized that they had made errors in their bids. They missed something. It was pretty obvious with their prices. If you look at the bid tab, their 2 bids are the last 2, and it's noted at the top that they were withdrawn. One's 144.5 and one's 142.200. So they requested, and per the specs, they have 24 hours to do that. So they requested that their bids be withdrawn. So item A would be to acknowledge withdrawal of the bids of Diversified Construction LLC and RNC Services LLC per Article 1503 of the instruction to bidders for Program Element 1.21 UT Holcomb Branch at Deer Valley subdivision.
All right, do I have a motion to withdraw? Or actually, do I have a motion to, I guess, approve
Accept their
this,
withdrawal.
accept this?
Yeah. So move.
All right, Jared makes a motion.
Second.
Jay seconds it. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, motion approved to accept this withdrawal.
Thank you.
I think I got it right.
Item B piggybacks that. This is award of Program Element 1.21 UT Holcomb Branch at Deer Valley subdivision to Southeastern Pipeline and Environmental Services in the amount of $253,950.
Say that one more time?
That's award of the same project to Southeastern Pipeline
I got it.
for $253,950.
I make a
This is
motion
to
approve.
withdraw.
No, this is to accept their bid. They were the third bidder, and we talked to them
Okay.
after the 2 lows
Okay, I
withdrew,
understand.
and they accepted.
All right, do I have a motion to approve B?
I already made,
Okay,
I made the motion.
Jared makes a motion.
second.
Mr. Calhoun seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
It's nice we had 8
Well,
bidders, though.
Yeah,
It's-
it is.
That's
Yeah, a lot of interest in these projects. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, the next one had 7, I think, and maybe the last one had 4 or 5, yeah. So
What
we
is
had
the next?
Good participation. The next one, which would be item C, which is award of Program Element 1.22 UT Mountain Creek Erosion Mitigation at Foster Road to S&S Excavation LLC in the amount of $311,387.50. That should be the second bid tab right here.
Make a motion approve.
Second.
All right, have a motion by Jared, second by Jay. Any other discussion?
Yeah, where is S&S located?
It's either Bentonia or Benton, I can't remember. Somewhere around Yazoo City.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. That's item C.
Item D, Mr. President, is award of program element 1.23 bank stabilization at White Road to S&S Excavation LLC in the amount of $158,885.
Make motion approved.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Jared,
Second.
second by Jay. Any other discussion?
Yes, sir. Are they gonna work on these both in tandem, or how are they gonna do that?
We'll issue the notices in tandem, yes, so they probably will. I mean, they may not be working on them exactly at the same time, but they're gonna be, we haven't really had that discussion yet with them, but I'm guessing they'll be utilizing the same, services and so forth, so they'll be probably back and forth. Like, for instance, clearing, I would assume when they clear one, that the clearing folks will go to the other one and do that and bounce back and forth. So,
And apparently they didn't have to get no permit or anything from the Corps.
not for these.
Is,
That's only
in my area.
in mine.
Not in mine. That's the
All
only
right.
reason they're moving so fast.
we had a motion by Jared, second by Jay. I have under other discussion. Is this part of the ARP or this
Yes.
is not in my district, so.
Yeah, I'm sorry, all three of these that
I
are called
thought-
element 1.21,
Yeah.
element 1.22, and element 1.23, those are all
part of-
elements under the.
Similar to
Yes,
what
sir.
we were discussing earlier. I mean,
Yes,
it
sir.
comes from the same pot.
Much smaller projects, but yes.
Okay, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion, well, any opposed? Motion passes.
Item E, Mr. President, is program element 1.6. That's Holcomb Branch at Hickory Ridge Road. That's a bridge replacement project. It is complete. We're recommending final payment in the amount of $531,474.47 under PO number 231646 to Hemp Hill Construction Company, Inc. And authority to issue the check.
Make motion approved.
All right, Jared makes a motion to approve.
Second.
Jay seconds. Any other discussion?
I will ask one thing. It looks like some grass and it's gonna probably be needed at some point. You know, not, I mean, I don't know if it's, would be considered part of the project. When they cleared all that off and they riff-raffed it, the upper part is still just bare dirt. Seems like it's gonna cause some eventually washing. Right now it won't, but it's too dry, but what,
We'll take a look at it and see. This is handled under the commodity bid, so I'm not sure if that's gonna be the county's responsibility or the contractor. We'll take a look at it, and obviously if if it's under the contract, it's an
Blown.
approved item, so
blown on, something blown on it maybe.
we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, okay.
I think somebody grass mad.
Right,
Mad.
it's yeah, it's flat, it just needs something on it, I think.
All right, we had a motion by Jared, second by Jay. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. F.
Item F, Mr. President, this is discussion of and potential action of Hamilton and Fannin. That's a 13-lot subdivision off of Fannin Lane and Circle, and the developer has requested that he put the final wearing surface of asphalt on it. It's only 13 lots, but he lacks one lot being to 80%. So by the development ordinance, he can't put it on until he gets to 80%. Mike and I've looked at the road, it's in good shape, got a couple of edge repairs and some shoulders that need clipping before he puts it on. We have no issue with him going ahead and putting it on, but that's not our call because he's not to 80%, so it would be the board's, if it's the board's pleasure, we can give him the go-ahead.
Yeah, it's done right and done the right way.
Unusual. It's-
It is very
We're usually
unusual.
having to push them a year later.
Yes, no, that's right, that's exactly right.
He's trying to do the right thing.
And he will still warranty the road.
Right, yes,
So-
once he
Still
puts
that
the
same
surface down,
situation.
he's still got a warranty on it, yes, that's
How
correct.
many more lots are left to be?
He's on number 9 now, and so he's got 3 left.
Three?
But-
Okay.
Or, yeah,
He's only one more before.
or 3 or
it's
4, I
eight.
guess 4.
Right.
So I'll make a motion to
All right.
approve and let him go ahead.
Daniel makes a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Calhoun makes the second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Craig Slate,
Morning.
I'll make a motion to approve, set the hearing for August 15th on Mr. Slade with the Michael Nash conditional use permit.
Okay, second.
All right. Mr. Calhoun makes a motion to approve. Daniel seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, public hearing.
Yes, sir. The first item on the public hearings is a public hearing for the Douglas Payne conditional use permit, 164 Gouldy Shiloh Road. It's a District 4 property. I will open that public hearing. Mr. Payne is seeking a conditional use permit to mine 4 acres out of a 17.15 acre tract. It's located at 164 Gouldy Shiloh Road. He's mining the 4 acres to construct a lake on his property. Property is zoned RE1. Trucks will enter and exit the property on Highway 80. The material will be used for the Menasha packaging project that's located in the town of Pelahatchie. Mr. Payne provided a copy of the MDEQ 4-acre exempt permit for our files. Hearing notice was published and the property was posted with our placards. We have received no calls in opposition at the Office of Community Development. Okay, so at this time, that public hearing is open. I'll ask if there is anyone here who is raising any objection to the Douglas Payne conditional use permit. Is anyone here raising objection? You need to come forward, please. Be prepared to state your name and address for the record before making your remarks.
Hey, Mr. Slade, I was reading something else. Did you state that they were coming off of on 280? They
Yes.
not going down Goody
That's
Shallow
right.
Road. It's coming from the
Ingress,
property.
egress for all of the material will be on Highway 80.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with all the shenanigans and how that's supposed to happen. I'm not against it.
We hope there's no shenanigans.
But you're welcome to state your name and
All right,
address for the
my
record.
name is Lee Lusk. I live at 209 Aspen Grove, directly across from where he's going to enter onto Highway 80. I have been to the community service 3 times, twice last week, once this week. They would not give me any paperwork, would not give me a copy of it. So that's the reason I'm here, to find out what's going on. What we've been told out there is he was going to sell the dirt, which I don't blame him. I'm a landowner myself, and if I want to make some money selling dirt, I'll do that. The concern I have is the location where he comes out onto 80. That's a state highway, US state highway. The driveway that is on there is not a setup for a commercial truck to come on and off. I worked for Continental Tire for 12 years. Dump trucks, trailer trucks, whatever you got, is gonna take a lot of motion coming out to make that turn onto US 80. The concern I have, one, safety for the cars coming. I know you know where we're talking about. You got a hill to the west and a hill to the east. It's not a very safe spot on that. Worse off would be Gooley Shallow Road. That's even worse because of the way it turns on. I'm not here against it, but I do want to voice my opinion that there's a safety concern, as well as the dirt and debris left on the road as these trucks enter it.
And I think MDOT's gonna probably make them put some signs like truck entering highways, caution signs, and I mean, if, that's gonna be up to the contractor getting the dirt out as far as getting a permit from MDOT probably to make that culvert wider to where they can enter and exit.
That was our concern, though, was strictly the entering.
Tim, will you just touch base with MDOT and alert them as far as an apron and whatever other requirements? They need to inspect it and make sure.
And
it's-
MDOT would probably monitor it too. I mean,
Well,
the
they-
state's gonna have
The
to.
MDOT doesn't
Well,
matter. I mean,
it's gotta be called. They gotta be called.
I guarantee you.
I worked in construction with selling tires to them. Once they get the permit, they roll it, because they're trying to get the dirt out while it's dry. They're trying to get the pond done, the levee put back, pressure, compacted and everything. I fully understand all that's going on. But this is the first time that I've been told, 3 trips, and I just heard from him, what the plan was to dig a pond.
Yeah.
Now, I ain't lying myself. If I want to dig a pond, I want to dig a pond.
Yeah.
Coming on to 80 is the only concern I have to express, is the
Thank you.
safety factor there.
Well, they're
Thank
gonna- We can make it where they have to keep it swell. Can we put
Well, that's
conditions
state-
on it?
Well, you're
Well,
supposed
it's a
to-
state highway.
You're supposed to sweep off the back of the truck. We know that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
All right.
Any more opposed?
Anyone else speaking in opposition on that matter?
Okay. I don't see anyone else speaking in opposition, Mr. President, so we'll close that public hearing. This time it'd be appropriate to take action. We typically have conditions, but with this being entry and exit off of US 80, about the only things that I can think of, maybe hours of operation, daylight to dark kind of hours of operation, nothing going on in the dark, maybe some sort of restriction on Sunday activity would be appropriate.
Let's put those normal, the ones we normally do, daylight to dark, no Sundays, and encourage them to sweep the back of the truck. I know that.
Steve, you
That
wanna go,
can.
you wanna go daylight to dark?
Yeah.
Reason I say, it's like they, sometimes get complaining about it coming out there before daylight and banging and getting everything ready.
Yeah.
Have, I'm just throwing it out.
We could start at, Steve, we could start at 7. and
7?
Shut it down at 7.
7 to 7?
7 to 7.
Okay. Is there a neighbor, I don't remember there being a
not
high
sure,
density area.
I think
Well,
Ms.
it may
Payne's
not
probably
run
the
that.
only neighbor.
Yeah.
Well, there's one house on Highway 80 right
One house? Okay, well, let's still do 7 to 7.
Time changes, just leave it the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll be through by then. I mean, this is
Oh,
not
I'm
gonna.
thinking they about
This
done
isn't
now.
gonna
I forgot
take
what
long.
they're doing, yeah, the
They're
pond, yeah.
digging a lake.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
7 to 7, sweep the truck, try to keep the road
Clean.
clear of the worst of the dirt clods, that type of
Well,
thing.
Hopefully Tim will get with
Yes.
MDOT and tell them this is really we want a little more inspection because of where it's located up there on 80. And-
Oversight.
Yep. All right, do I have a motion? I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Daniel seconds. Any other discussion? Motion passes.
I'll let the record reflect that hearing's closed. Next item under my section, Mr. President, is the public hearing on the Michael Love Soggy Bottom LLC conditional use permit. We'll open that public hearing. Mr. Love is, and Soggy Bottom LLC is seeking a conditional use permit to develop what's called a rural subdivision on Sand Hill Road. It's a property that contains 79 acres. It's zoned A1. Plat shows a 10-acre lot labeled Lot 1. The remaining 69 acres is shown as future development. The deed restrictions will set the minimum and heated and cooled square footage for the homes at 2,200 square feet. The hearing notice has been published, properties posted. We've not received any calls in opposition at the Community Development Office. And so that hearing is open. I'll ask if there's anyone here to speak in opposition to the Soggy Bottom LLC conditional use permit. Anyone here to speak in opposition on that matter?
All of this property is gonna be residential, is that
Yes, sir.
correct?
Well,
Steve?
it's remaining ag because it's 10-acre,
Right.
small farm.
The answer is yes, it
Yes.
is all ag. And I visited with Mr. Love's attorney on Friday and provided him the information that Steve requested, which was an additional deed restriction that we discussed at the work session on Thursday, Steve, and they have that information, and it's being included in any deeds that are issued by Mr. Love for this property. Okay?
He also indicated that he's gonna get a plat of the remaining, these are gonna be
Yes.
some large
Yes.
lots.
He's got to come back.
And he's gonna come back and show us
Right.
a little more, but
Yes.
we're at the point we're at, I think we can
Right.
approve it.
He's been very cooperative. We have
Oh,
the
yes.
appropriate right-of-way for the road. We have a utility easement that's attenuated to the properties. So Mike's done a good job of
Yeah.
making sure that the county's interests are accommodated in
Yes.
this.
Will we have another public hearing with the plat deal?
Yeah, so
Okay.
not for this plat,
Okay,
Brad.
not for this one.
You're gonna approve the plat in a few minutes.
Okay.
It's under my section.
All
So
right.
you'll approve it, but I don't know that there'll be a lot more discussion about it unless you have a question. All right? So with respect to the conditional use permit, it would be appropriate to take action on this.
I make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
All right, I made a motion to approve it. Daniel seconds it. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Item D, Mr. President, is authority to void the 2020 tax sale for Rankin County tax parcel I-9-16. And this is to also to refund the tax sale purchaser. This property was acquired by the city of Brandon and is therefore exempt from ad valorem tax by virtue of Mississippi Code annotated 2735-143 subparagraph 7, and authority to issue the refund check to the tax sale buyer.
All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Calhoun makes a motion, Jared seconds. Any other discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Item E is similar, authority to void 2020 tax sale for Rankin County tax parcel E8G-13 and to refund the tax sale purchaser. This property was acquired by the city of Pearl and is therefore exempt from ad valorem tax by virtue of that same code section. I'm also asking for authority to issue the refund check.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Calhoun makes a motion,
Second.
Jared seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Next item, item F, is authority to refund PPIN 2887. You see the names here, Mr. and Ms. Ross at 143 Richmond Drive in Florence. This is lot 65 in Triangle Acres for the 2021 taxes in the amount of $743.71 because the property was tax exempt due to the taxpayer being 100% disabled veteran. And so we see the rest of the authorization that goes there with that. So I'm just asking for authority to do all those things that are listed there in the item.
Make motion approved.
Second.
Jared makes a motion, Mr. Calhoun seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I appreciate the fact that our tax collector wants to keep records clean and accurate. And so this is one of the items that we will routinely do as we come across situations during our normal record review. And so this is a cleanup activity. What we find from time to time is that we have manufactured homes that are being assessed, and for whatever reason, they should not be being assessed to given properties. A lot of times they'll move away. We aren't notified that they've been relocated, and we continue to tax that property as if that home is still on it. Sometimes we have mobile homes that are destroyed by fire or by weather, and we are not notified in a timely manner, and we don't hold that against the folks. We go back and clean the records up. So as we come across these situations, we will routinely come forward and get you guys to authorize the cleanup of those records. That's what that entry item is there for. I just need a motion to approve item G as stated.
I'll make a motion for as stated.
Mr. Calhoun makes a motion,
Second.
Jared seconds. Any other discussion?
I don't know, I kinda hate taking the money away from us, man. You know, they were paying it.
Well,
Or not. What we find, Jay, is that the vast majority of these are not being paid.
Gotcha. All right.
And that, quite honestly, that's how we find that we have an issue.
Yeah, 10-4.
all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Mr. President, item H is authorization for the appropriate representative of the youth court to execute an MOU between the youth court and the Office of State Public Defender that provides indigent parent legal representation in youth court matters. This is our standard MOU that we have. I say standard, it's the typical MOU that we have with Rankin County Youth Court, using grant monies to provide services that would otherwise have to be provided by the county, but the grant funding is available to do that. And so through this MOU process, we're able to control both the authority for them to expend the grant funds and to use services and keep the county from having to pay for these services. And the MOU clearly states that as long as there is grant funding available, the services can continue. The minute the grant funding disappears, the services have to stop. And so that's what this is right here. I just need a motion to approve that MOU with the Office of State Public Defender.
Motion approved.
Second.
Jay makes a motion, Daniel seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next item is the public hearing on our Pinelands tax increment financing plan. Gentlemen, we published notice in the newspaper sometime, well, let's see, I don't remember exactly when it ran, but it has, I think it published on the 26th of July. and it ran in the newspaper. And so this time, I'm opening the public hearing on the Pinelands Tax Increment Financing Plan as published in the Rankin County News on July the 26th. Is there anyone here to speak on the matter of the Pinelands Tax Increment Financing Plan besides Ms. Sugg? Is there anyone here to speak on that matter? Mr. President, I don't see anyone here to speak on that matter. At this time, we're going to close that public hearing. And your next item under your agenda will be the consideration of and the potential action to adopt a resolution that tracks along with that tax increment financing plan. I'm going to ask Ms. Sugg, if she will, please come forward. And we're going to let you guys engage in a discussion about the content of the tax increment financing plan and specifically the county's pledge in support of the debt service and what that needs to look like.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I appreciate y'all's time today. I know we've had a lot of discussions about the county's participation in this project. It's a proposed $100 million private investment on about 116 acres around Hugh Ward Boulevard for a mixed-use development. The current county taxes are around $1,600, and the proposed ad valorem tax increase when the project is completed will be around $490,000. That's just to the county. The school will obviously have a significant increase as well. We're requesting the county's participation that you pledge about 25 mills. That's, how did we get to the 25 mills? We took the county's total millage and deducted road and bridge, the community college, a state mill, and one other mill, and left 25 mills over. I have, based on our prior conversations, prepared a resolution that would cap the county's use of funds to no more than half of the debt service. So you would be meeting what the city of Flowood puts in at 20 mills, but by pledging the additional 5.76 mills, the bank would be able to consider that as coverage when it's time to consider debt service. And that would help push us towards the ultimate goal of being able to possibly get $5 million in bonds, assuming the project performs the way it's supposed to. I know Mr. Slay's reminded you guys of this, but a TIF is not a grant. It is a reimbursement for expenditures made to help develop the property. Once the project is done, once the project has sufficient funds on the tax rolls, once those revenues come in. If we never get out there and bring in sufficient revenues, the bonds don't ever get issued. So at this point, we're asking for you guys to agree to participate if and when there's sufficient funds to issue bonds in the future.
So how many years is this gonna run?
Typically 15 years on a bond issuance of this magnitude. It may be longer term. Sometimes you see them at 20 years, but most of the time it's 15.
Usually,
Are we capped at 15?
what, 15 in the TIF plan, but yes, sir, typically people who purchase the bonds, the institutions don't want to go out longer than 15 years anyway, so the market wouldn't support it, but the TIF plan does contemplate. The TIF plan's for 30 years, but that's just a plan allowing development out there. This stipulates that the bonds wouldn't be for more than 15. You're welcome. And Craig, I did not email you this.
Okay.
This is what I just discussed.
Okay. So let me, I want to highlight one thing that you heard Christiana say that I think it bears highlighting. And that is you are adopting a plan, which is a guide, which provides a structure for how the arrangement, the maximum that the arrangement can afford. Okay? It's the guide. At some point, once this project comes online and there is a serious discussion about issuing bonds, there will be a corresponding interlocal agreement between the city and the county that you will have to approve, that a Board of Supervisors will have to approve. And it will be in the context of that interlocal agreement where you can clarify how your pledge is going to be shaped for the purpose of that bond. And what Ms. Christiana mentioned, and I appreciate her mentioning that directly, is that you can say in your interlocal agreement that the county's participation will be on par with the city's debt service participation, on par, 50-50. And what that does is it, practically speaking, it puts your participation on the debt service at your 50%. That I think Mr. Bishop has made his feelings about the county's participation on these TIFs pretty apparent through time, that he likes to see our participation be not any more than 50%. That is where that can be controlled. The pledge that is being requested exceeds that. When you look at it, it exceeds that amount because it's a greater than 50% level of your actual ad valorem tax that you have at your disposal. You got 40.24, and they are asking you to put up or to pledge 25 and change, whereas normally we would limit that pledge at 20 mils, not 25 mils. So the limitation comes at a different point in this process. It comes at the interlocal agreement stage, where we're able to say, we will commit to debt service using our millage. We will commit to debt service up to 50% of the debt service. All right, so that's all I wanted to point out. It's just a little different way of getting to the same place. Okay? Any questions, please? Mr. Bishop, any questions?
How many TIFs are out in the county now that we're participating in?
Wow.
Half a dozen.
All the
to-
dogwood,
Dogwood is about over.
How many's in Florida? I mean, not Florida, Florida.
all the dogwood.
All the dogwood.
Well, that, one of them's rolled off now, I think.
Four corners.
Yeah, they ought to be
I would
getting-
say a
they
half
ought
a
to be
dozen,
rolling off.
probably a half a dozen. There's something out there, there's.
We did one over there in Brandon, before you got elected for Bob, and
we're
we
gonna
went
address that.
outside our policy.
We're gonna address that again today, I believe, in a little while.
Yeah,
Miss,
Okay.
I'm-
All right.
yeah.
This
You
is a
were-
bond meeting, is what this
That
is.
sounds
It's a
like
TIF
it.
meeting. We waited on you.
Missed one meeting and here we go, huh?
Well, we
No,
actually,
we actually held up till you got
postponed
here.
it for you to
Thanks,
be
guys.
here.
We wanted you to be sure you got
These-
Slay straight.
I get one of that guy, huh?
Some of our biggest ones are beginning to roll off, and pay out. And,
But it's a win-win in my opinion.
I know
It
it's a
is.
win-win, but I just, 15, 20 years waiting to roll off.
well,
I mean, if we
we're
could shorten
we're
the
now
window to
looking at
10.
15 years now. Yeah, I like 10 also,
like 10.
but sometimes the people that are
Well, their
buying-
financing probably
Yeah,
wouldn't help them
right.
that much, so.
So,
And Craig, explain, normally, we have a policy of about 30 million.
30 million.
Improvements.
well,
So
most of the
this
TIFs
is
that we're
big
seeing, Steve,
stuff.
exceed that, by orders of magnitude. I mean, this one is 3 times your minimum
100
for
plus.
consideration of a TIF plan.
And let me explain where this is located. I guess you could say across from Walmart. It's the big open area that's been sitting vacant for 25 years. And we do have, it's under new management, and we have a lot of interest in commercial businesses coming in. We would like to see it grow, but we don't want to give away all of our taxes,
No.
which we're being asked for 50% for a while. And as she mentioned, the value is going to be tremendous to what we can tax, that would
Yes.
come back to the taxpayer.
I think our current ad valorem receipts on the property that's within the TIF district is 10 grand, less or less? $1,600. So, and what she mentioned to you was that somewhere on the order of about $500,000 in potential ad valorem tax, just the real side.
This is
And then he got to the
close
personal property
to,
side.
well, Daniel, Jay, and then my district's
Yeah,
not
it's
far,
close.
but it's not unique to us. The whole county shares in that revenue when we
right.
start bringing
That's
the
exactly right.
taxes in.
So I have a question. How does this, is this part of the PID, that
No, sir.
area?
No, sir, it doesn't
Okay.
get to the Pinelands PID
Okay.
area.
All right.
One of the things that we looked at, I mentioned this previously, I want to mention again, because we seem to be spending a lot of time these days talking about stormwater stuff. one of the issues that we had, that we wanted to address before we ever got to this point was to make sure the developer had studied what
Yes.
stormwater's doing in this area. It's all eventually heading to Mill Creek, we know that, but it's taking a course or it's a little bit of a circuitous route to get there. And so we are asking for significant stormwater management to be a part of this project, and they've agreed to do that. Tim's looked at it already, and so I think some level of hydraulics has been looked at on that site. We know what the water's doing.
I've been out, I've looked at it, and that is a significant improvement. And we were talking of residential properties and things around the other creeks. The stormwater is not going away.
No.
As we populate our county, we're gonna have more, and it's gonna run faster. So we are trying to get out front with these water plans, and this group is including that.
They are.
In their construction.
Yes.
So
Retention.
it does affect a lot of people that may not live near there. Thank you.
Retention and retention are a part of the development plan that we've looked at and insisted on. And so I'm pleased to report that I think we've got some level of understanding with the developer about that. Gentlemen, what we need to do is I need you to, item J, to consider and potentially act with respect to the resolution that you heard Ms. Christiana Sugg mention. I have copies of the resolution that are available and ready to go. Just need to know your pleasure in terms of adopting
I'm
that.
gonna ask Jay to make the motion. You make the motion, Jay, that you are satisfied with.
Oh, my God.
I think you have support because you delve into this deeper than any other.
Waited on you, Jay.
Throw me right under that bus,
Wait,
huh?
wait.
Jay spent the last week explaining the sling.
Yeah.
How the motion's gonna go down, so.
Oh, my God, man. So I'm good with the project. I love it. It's a great deal.
We didn't wanna take advantage of while you were sick.
Yeah.
We waited on you.
Yeah. All right. I make a motion to approve the project at our current policy.
Second. Any other discussion?
Our current policy, which one?
20 mils.
20 mil?
Yes.
20 mils. 20 mils. Ms. Suggs seems like she's not as happy as she was when she came in. I have a motion by Jay, a second by myself. Any other discussion?
Hey, one thing, this is mimicking Flowwoods, right?
They're 20.
Went above.
But they're not 20?
I think they gave their all.
They have
Full tilt?
they have pledged the full 33 mil.
We're thinking, Brandon, I want to be
Yeah.
sure that we're on the same page, though. Are we talking 20 mils for debt service or 20 mil pledge?
Do what now? We're on the wrong page.
Jay's gonna have to answer that.
Wait, we're on a different page?
Well, so if I may, if you don't mind.
Please.
When you pledge, when you get a loan from a bank, they consider your entire income in giving you the loan for your house, even though your mortgage is only a small amount. And asking
Mine's a
y'all-
large amount.
A large amount, okay. And asking y'all to pledge 25 mils, we want the bond purchasers to consider that 25 mils in issuing the bonds, even though the payment would only be based on 20 mils. And so I wanted to be sure we're all on the same page. Are y'all agreeing for us to use 20 mils or only have the bank consider 20 mils?
So why would they consider 25 if we're only committing 20?
It's coverage. It's just how they underwrite it. We do this with the city of Jackson also. They pledge their general fund, and then the coverage comes from funds that are used and not pledged. Sometimes it comes from all of it.
Well, this is the first time I've ever heard this one, so I really don't know.
When we do the pledge based on 20 mils, basically it means that there's 20 mils, but the debt service is paid for much less than that, because typically bond purchasers want to have 25 or 20% coverage. In addition, that's extra cash over what the payment is actually going to be. So the 20 mil pledge really turns into, say, 15 mils that are being used, or 18 mils. I just want to make sure that I know what's happening going forward.
I think 20 mils is our max.
Okay.
All right, so Jay is saying the pledge would be 20 mils. It needs to be stated in the resolution as a pledge of 20 mils. That's what the bank will look at as collateral securing the bond payment.
Yeah.
So 20 mils as collateral, eligible for 20 mils of debt service. Okay.
And then
Right.
coverage will come from both.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, Jim.
Any opposed? Motion passes at 20.
Yes.
Thank
But
you.
now we know.
Yeah.
Thank
well,
you.
now we
Yes,
know.
ma'am.
All right. Jay, can I just clarify, as we move forward, and we've got TIF folks, I'm not directing this just to Jay. I like to pick at you. As we move forward on our TIF plan proposals, is the motion that you just made, am I safe in communicating to any inquiries concerning your participation in TIF plans going forward, that they can expect a motion like that at the time to approve a resolution adopting the plan?
Yes, sir.
All right, 20 mils will be the pledge, 20 mils will be the debt service, period.
All right,
Okay.
anybody in the audience that was wondering, 20 mils is it.
Does it matter how big the
On the same
project
page.
is? I mean, this is $100
Well,
million.
whenever the project comes up, man, we're capable of doing whatever we want,
We'll look at it.
you know, so.
I'm just going to make suggestions to people who inquire, I'm not telling them.
Right.
I'm not making decisions, y'all do that.
Yeah.
But I
Well-
can help them prepare themselves for that motion.
With this said, I would say, I would think that our maximum, if we're gonna say this on this project, it'd have to be one much bigger than this one.
Yeah.
But I can't see that happening, but anyhow, 20 mils.
Yeah, well, this has
We
served
may
us
not
well.
reach 20 on some others.
What we're doing, what we just did right here would be in keeping with what we have historically been doing.
Okay.
Okay, so, to that extent, I think it keeps us where we've always been.
All right, let's move to,
All right, item K, Mr. President, will be the formal declaration of the Board of Supervisors that the real property addressed 148 Tammy Avenue, this is in Florence. It's Rankin County parcel ID D6C-8-360. It's titled in the name of Sherry Copeland, is condemned and not suitable for human habitation. Authorization of the Rankin County Sheriff's Department to do all things necessary and to take all steps necessary to remove any occupants of the property and to bar entry to the property until further order of the Board of Supervisors. Authorization for any unit of county government to take any and all actions that may be necessary to remediate and remove any nonconformity of this property to the county's property maintenance orders, and to do so under the county's police powers. And we're doing that as a way of protecting and preserving life and public safety. You're authorizing the board attorney and the county administrator to work with county personnel to place a lien on the subject property that might reflect any and all costs incurred by the taxpayers of Rankin County in carrying out this authorization.
can I ask Jared to give us a little more
Yes.
information? Jared, has this been before with,
That's the one we've,
Like 3 times.
they swim across a creek to get to it at times?
No, sir, not that
That's a
one.
different one?
Different one.
Okay.
no, we probably don't want to bring that one.
Several times.
Talk about that one.
Is
Go ahead.
this the one where
Go ahead.
somebody died?
Huh?
No?
No.
It's one where she had converted a manufactured home and was renting out, leasing out
Oh,
rooms, if
really?
you will, or.
We're
ends of it,
condemning
yeah.
that?
Well, yes, it's in terrible conditions, and, you know, even back to 2014, we had dealt with this prior. I mean, it's
It's continuing to
progressed.
get
This
worse.
is the one, this is the one that they were,
We went in and did an inspection, she let us come in, did we ever do it?
first she wouldn't, then she did.
That was the one that had wires hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And then it-
And
yeah.
this one actually is at Justice.
She came in, had the video, and we said, could you at least get cleaned up a little bit in there?
Right.
It was just horrible. But like you said, you got open wires hanging out of the ceiling, and,
Y'all have inspected it and condemned it?
Yes.
Okay.
we even asked
All right.
them, to do something with the wiring. At least you
Let's,
do that.
You guys referred this to Justice Court. It is in Justice Court presently, and there is a strong level of encouragement from the Justice Court that you consider this action
Okay.
to assist in that matter.
All right, do I have a motion?
I hate to do it, but yes, I make the motion.
Jared makes a motion,
I'll second.
Calhoun seconds it. Any other discussion?
We had one just like this, remember back in, several years ago in, Plantation Shores. And, the first responders refused to go back in because it was just open wires everywhere.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Gentlemen, the next item under your section is, really is just cleanup work from the last time we discussed this sports shooting facility firearms ordinance. You requested that we not prohibit sports shooting activities on Sunday, and the original document that you looked at had a prohibition on any Sunday activity. We've revised that section at your request, and now they are allowed to have Sunday activity from noon to 6 or...
That is specific to this case, though. We're gonna deal with them on a case-by-case basis, right?
The sports shooting facility ordinance will say that they are eligible for Sunday activity noon to 5. If the board chooses, because of a conditional use request, to set a different hour of operation, that's fine. It's just that your ordinance sets the outside lines for you.
I just want to make clear, in my district, I would like for the board to have the option, and it's really, it's where it's located. Sunday may not work in some places for me, or for my district.
I think that really goes for me too.
And it's just, I mean, if it's
Case
enclosed,
by case.
soundproof.
Yeah, case by case.
What I would suggest is we just open a paren before we have the actual ordinance adopted at that section.
Okay.
It says, unless otherwise determined by the Board of Supervisors to be a different Sunday operation schedule.
Good.
Just
I think
leave that in there.
The one that we approved last on 49, I don't think that location's working out. They moving on down to
That's
49.
that one, yeah, that one's
That's totally different, but yeah.
behind us, and,
Well, but this,
they are,
This is
whoever's
really
out
done.
there now is grandfathered.
this was really done because of what?
Well, because we saw that one application that came up on 49, and there was concern because of its orientation, Jared, that it was aiming, literally aiming in the direction of some residential properties that were beyond it. And so we saw a need to go ahead and start addressing this by way of an ordinance. Otherwise, we were going to get to a situation where we couldn't control any of it. So that, it kind of brought it on
Basically,
because
it's
of,
still gonna be case by case.
yes, sir. It's a conditional use
Yeah, I
application.
don't want something just hardcore, this is it.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept this ordinance?
I'll make a motion.
All right, Mr. Calhoun makes a motion. Do I have a second? I second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Okay. Mr. President, item M is an authorization of the board president, the county administrator, appropriate youth court personnel to execute an MOU between the youth court, family juvenile drug intervention court, and Fondren Oasis Recovery Housing to provide counseling services, further to a grant award that pays for those services. This MOU is contingent upon available grant funding.
Motion approved.
All right.
Second.
Jay makes a motion, Daniel seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Mr. President, item N is an authorization of the board president, county administrator, other appropriate youth court personnel to execute an MOU between Rankin County Youth Family Drug Intervention and Fairland Center to provide counseling services, further to a grant award that pays for such services.
Have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Calhoun makes a motion, Jared seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Mr. President, last item under my section is the approval of the final plat on the Soggy Bottom LLC Lot 1. This is the 10-acre lot that's platted. Keep in mind that there's a 69-acre lot, or 65-acre lot, whatever it is, that is shown as future development on this plat, and you will have an opportunity at a later date for any development activity for the 69, 65 balance property. You'll have to adopt another plat. This is just approving the Lot 1 as reflected on the plat.
And he does have plenty of right away to get.
Yeah,
to the
it's a
road.
county blacktop road. All right, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Calhoun seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Mr. President, we've got some additional business that we'll be talking about, and I've got two matters in executive session that I'm going to have to discuss with you. Both of them are litigation.
Okay, Mr. Hicks.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning.
Item A under my section is acceptance of the fiscal year 23 HIDA sub-grantee cooperative agreement. That's between MBN, the Mississippi Gulf Coast High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area, and the Rankin County Sheriff's. It's a one-year grant in the amount of $52,339, and we ask for authority for the sheriff to execute those documents.
Motion approved.
Okay, Jay makes a motion.
Second.
Second by Daniel. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, item B comes to us from House Bill 603. It's the authority for the Rankin County Board of Supervisors to enter into 4 separate MOUs with the Department of Finance and Administration. You can see the MOUs. One is for the allocation of $75,000 to certain volunteer fire departments at $15,000 each. The second one will be for Highway 49 to Pearson Road monies. The third and fourth one are monies for the I-20 connector loop project, totaling $7.5 million. And we ask for authority to execute all the documents and requirements necessary to effect these MOUs.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, Calhoun makes a motion to
Second.
approve. Jared seconds. Any other discussion? I have a question.
Yes, sir.
These volunteer fire departments that are listed, that's not all the volunteer fire departments.
No, sir.
How did we choose these and not, I mean, just what was the method?
They were in the bill.
I think as a representative or somebody probably went, because it happened to me last year. It was a
It
representative.
happens all across the states, and what happens is, toward the end, you have certain legislators that will add a portion or people or project or something into a big, I'm gonna call it a big bulk bill, right? That comes out, and it specifically named those departments. So some representative or senator
We found out about the
added
money
these
when the bill was
departments
passed.
specifically
Okay.
into that
I
bill.
think they did,
They do the same thing on, like, say, we wanna add a, $200,000 for a road in
Yep.
Tippah County.
Yep.
I mean, so these are just plug-ins. That's a huge bill. It'll have probably 50, 60 pages worth of stuff. With this toward the very end, last session, they'll stick fragments or slivers of money.
I'm not insisting that we give it back.
Right.
I just, maybe next time around, we'll talk to the other legislators and see if they can help
Absolutely.
us.
I have a question. Why are we getting the 500,000 for that road from 49 to Pearson? We didn't ask for it. Why, that should be going to Richland, shouldn't it?
Where that came from, I have no clue.
Neither.
Do you want to give it back?
Well, I mean, we didn't ask for it, and I really don't want to go out there and start, putting money toward a project that was not even on our radar.
Is this
Is
in
there
the
a
city
time
limits
limit
of
on it?
Richland?
I'm sure it is, yeah.
Is this in the city limits?
Well, it may not be where they're wanting to do
Is
this.
this in the city?
It may not go all the way to Pearson.
It's not in the city?
can't be.
Okay.
49 Pearson.
All right.
To the city of Pearl?
I don't know, man.
We've got this opened as
I would say we
one motion.
flow the money over to whoever it's supposed to go to.
I'm not sure what it is. I'll open, you tell me.
I've not seen the bill itself, the specifics on it, or what it applies to.
Yeah. The only thing I've been told is, that there's some discussion about wanting to do a site down there, and that part of the big plan was to do a road across there.
Well, that's
to
on
develop
down.
a site.
And we just take that off until we can figure it out? Just table it till we can figure out where
That
the money
would-
goes?
Leave it right there, you gotta.
That
I
would
mean,
be
just
number
leave-
2.
Yeah, it'll be probably November before we ever get the money.
I'll say
And we don't have to
Would
spend the
do-
money, we can turn the money back in if the board decides that. This just allows us to do the paperwork.
Let's just try between now and find out
Yeah. I
what
would
bill it was. and
Don't
who-
kill it, just let it, see
I
what
guess,
it's.
but I mean, I
what
guess
it's for.
you're entering some kind of memo of understanding that we don't know what it goes for.
That's what DFA did.
It is, it's to receive the money.
It probably, it
We
may
don't
have
have to
something to do with what
spend
you're
the
talking about,
We don't
Greg,
have to
cause,
spend it.
Yeah, but
that's
What do you
the
want?
only place
No,
I
he
can
take
think
it,
of.
I just don't,
Okay.
I just
All
don't
right.
want us to be pushed in corners, say, all right, well, you got it now, you need to start some engineering, let's make this happen.
And it's gonna be $5 million.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's-
I don't think
We'll
we
take
need,
it
I
off
think
the
just
list.
leave it there, we can always
We'll
bring
take
it,
Let-
We can just
we
give
can
it
always,
to
we've
Put a
declined.
star on it and, make sure that we revisit that. All right, do I have a motion?
I think we already
You have
did
a
the
motion.
Yeah.
Are we done? Tell me,
We already did
I
it.
think I made a motion.
you made a motion,
He
Jared
seconded.
second, okay.
So the point is to take the money, just so I understand, we're taking the money and then go figure
Well,
out what
we're
it's for.
doing
Yeah.
the paperwork to get the money, which would be, he says maybe November.
October, November.
But there's no project allocated to it, right?
There's
We
a,
can't identify it. There may be a project, but we can't identify.
I'm sure
it.
it's a
She will
project.
have to get you
I'm sure it's a
guys that
project.
information.
All right, we don't have to spend it,
We
and we
can
can give it back or give it to
Absolutely.
At any,
Richland.
at any point, we can give it back.
Yes.
I guess we
3
give
years.
any of this back if we
At
want
least
to,
3 years
Could you?
from the date
I
received.
guess.
Okay.
I mean, what I'm saying.
Okay. All right, we
I
have a
wouldn't give
motion
any-
by
I wouldn't give any
Brad,
money back.
a second by Jared. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, additional business. Tim, wait, this is through, we're through with
Yeah,
you,
everything.
Keith. Okay, additional business, you can sit right there. I've talked to the people, that this Dominion Road joins, and we have to have some further discussions with you and Craig before we make any emotions or things like that on here. And I just talked to him over the weekend. So let's, do we need to table this, Craig, or do we have to?
It's just a discussion.
Okay, just discussion, so we have had our discussion for today. All right, discussion of Cross Gates TIF plan.
So I think.
This is what,
I'm looking at Ms. Sugg, she's also involved in this cross-gauge crossing. I think we have our answer, but I just want to clarify that we are going to provide guidance to the developer of cross-gauge crossing TIF plan to expect the board to be amenable to a 20 mil pledge and a 20 mil debt service.
And I appreciate y'all's consideration. I'm gonna talk to the developer about that. In this case, because the city is putting in 33 mills, this is really going to drastically swing without additional contribution from the county. It's gonna swing whether or not this is gonna be able to go forward. So I just have to talk to Mr. Underwood and to the other people. to
So
see.
I remember when we did this, we actually went outside of our TIF policy and did it because it didn't meet our threshold.
It didn't meet the threshold.
So
And
we
it
did
still
it in an
doesn't.
effort to help Brandon generate some
Yeah.
business.
Right. So we're not saying no. I do want them to be aware, and I realize they
Okay.
may be watching this now, you know, about how we'll
Yeah.
adjust the numbers and how they can make things work, because they do want to have this additional hotel. But I appreciate y'all's consideration. We really do. So,
thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Mr. President, I think that was all under additional business. Like I said, I've got a couple of matters that are litigation to discuss with the executive session. And we have Mr. Turner here with the right-of-way service folks, and I'm sure he's got some just compensation information that he wants to discuss with the board. That has to be in executive session because it's property acquisition.
we also have a personnel issue.
I got one thing in additional business, and I know school started today, and I want to thank the Sheriff's Department, Mike Word, for making sure our school bus got down Clifton Road and Curtis Road safely. Appreciate y'all, and of course, hopefully the 18 bridge will be up and going here for soon. But appreciate the Sheriff and Word help this morning.
I make a motion to discuss the need for executive session.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, by Jay, to discuss the need for executive session for litigation and personnel. And property acquisition. Daniel seconds it. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
I make a motion going to executive session for personnel, litigation, and property acquisition.
Okay, Jay makes a motion. Do I have a second? Daniel seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Good, aye.
All right, motion passes. We are in executive.